everyone, it is Tristan, and this is an old comic of mine. Actually, this one's new. I have another copy in my storage unit, but that is nothing to do with this video. Anyway, this is Injustice, and this has always been one of my favorite series, and this is the first issue. It is done by, I know his last name's Taylor, Tom Taylor, and I love the fact that Mike Miller did so much on this. He did, you know, quite a bit of the art, not even just in this one, just in general, and the ink. So, I love this story. We start by seeing Batman, it's present day. So Batman is looking at the streets of Gotham and realizing that something is not right. There's no crime left, but it's all thanks to someone that ruled by an iron fist, the Man of Steel. So then we go 5 years back, and we see Lois and Clark in bed, and he wakes up, and he realizes that she asks what it is, and he says, I hear the sound of two heartbeats coming from one person. And I love this story. I can't say enough good about it, so I'll just keep saying it. But he has this freak out moment. And, hold on, let me see if I can. I'm so bad at these floppy reviews. That is not even helping. Okay. Anyway, he has this freak out moment, and he's talking about all the things they need to do, and she yells at him, and he keeps going on, and she yells at him. Finally, she throws a book at him, and, she's like, you're invulnerable. Can't we just have this moment, when they finally realize that they're pregnant? Can't we just have this, one special moment without the freak out? Well, of course not. She gets a phone call, and, ends up that her and Jimmy are going to, got a lead about a councilman. So they go off. He is not happy about it because they just found out she was pregnant. So she's just teeny tiny little baby in there. And he wants to protect her, of course. And it's Lois. That's not going to happen. She says no. And she tells him to go save the world. So then we get to switch over to Batman, who's kicking ass and taking names. And basically, Soup shows up, and we get to see him, he says, meet me at the top when you're done. He doesn't even help, just, meet me when you're done. And I love how this shows their relationship because it's so good. Basically, he starts with, I have news, and Batman just says, Lois is pregnant. And he said, how do you know? He says, you're grinding your teeth more than normal, and you haven't stopped grinning like an idiot. And he doesn't think, Doomsday would make him grin like that. So he realizes that she's pregnant and calls it, and it's absolutely friggin' adorable. But then we go back to see Lois, and we get to see the first death within pages of the beginning of this series. And I have a really bad glare. There we go. So they realize it's not the councilman. And as soon as they do, Jimmy goes to take a picture, and the gun goes right through his camera, and he's gone. The first death within pages. I always hated how they killed Jimmy, just because I felt like he deserved quite a bit more than just that. But I digress. We go back to Batman and Superman, and we get to see, I love how the relationship was in the beginning of this, because it becomes so bad later on. But he asked Batman to be the Godfather, and he agrees, and it just shows how good they had it at one point and how bad it's become, later on. I think they're on year 5 right now, I want to say. I could be wrong. Somebody will probably correct me. But we get to see, Joker and Harley. Here's the gunshot. I guess I kind of was preempted on that, but look, Jimmy's gone. And he says, I got some Jimmy on my shoe. Ew. But that's so a Joker thing to say. But, I love this picture. I always liked this picture. It's always been one of my favorite just because it is so good. It's the beginning of the end for Lois. Then he goes to the scene and he realizes that Jimmy's gone. He sees the card and he knows Lois is gone. So becomes a race to find her. And they basically get everyone involved. Batman starts looking. He's basically begging for help. He says, please help me find her. Then we get Green Arrow involved. We get Cyborg. And Wonder Woman, everybody is looking, and we even get the Flash, which leads up to more ads. There's one thing great about digital is you don't get all of those. But I love this because he says, you know, Flash needs to show him something, and he says, just go fast so no one can see us. But, you know, if that was really true, he doesn't have the protection of the Speed Force, so he would just burn up. That is totally beyond what anything has to do with. But we see Crane was there, and we don't know why exactly yet, at least. And they figure out it's a submarine. She's in a submarine. So he says, I see it. And he just whips that bad boy up. Like, I got it. I'm going to put it on shore now. And he just, like, opens it up. I mean, he's looking for his pregnant wife, so of course he's freaking out. But this is where they have her. And we get to see Harley and Joker have operated on her. And he wants to know what they did. And then all of a sudden the fear toxin kicks in. And they actually laced the fear toxin with kryptonite so it would soak in more. And then he sees Doomsday. And it is not Doomsday. He just thinks that it is, and it's actually Lois. So they start to fight. And, you know, Joker and Harley get out of there. And he's telling Doomsday to stay away. Well, he's not knowing what he's doing. So they leave, and they get stopped right away. But I love this because it's like the old Harley to me, because Harley's become such a Deadpool-type character. But she's like, we're just going to leave. That's the only first submarine I've ever owned. And he's like, you know, we can get another one. And it shows a lot of the abuse in their relationship instead of like the Suicide Squad stuff where it was like, oh, they're such a cute couple. No, they're not. She's got Stockholm Syndrome and he's abusive. But he's like, say goodbye to your submarine. And she's like, bye, Gunter. Like, yeah, just dumb old Harley naming it. But they get stopped immediately by Green Lantern and Wonder Woman and everybody and Batman. But they're trying to figure out exactly what is going on. And that's when Joker starts telling them, you know, here, I think it's the next page. I could be wrong. I've read this literally probably 10 times, if not more. Basically, what he's saying is that she's the switch. You know, she is, inside of her is the switch, and the warhead, once the switch goes off, the warhead's going to go off. And then the Harley says, his name is Gunter. Like, I just love her character, her old character, that is. But, says, you know, don't bother checking. It's not in there. Says, when her heart stops. All of Metropolis's will stop too. And he said, why would her heart stop? And then Batman realizes that Superman has Lois and not Doomsday, and taking her, you know, towards the end of the solar system. No, not the solar system. Oh my God, the atmosphere. Anyway, so he gets a hold of Superman and says, you know, you're seeing things wrong. Stop. Do not do whatever you're seeing. It's not right. Do not do what you're about to do. Because he thinks that's the only way to stop Doomsday, which would make sense. But, we see, basically, okay, we see Batman punch him. That's not the first time. But this is the, like, most iconic when it comes to Injustice. Is it says, and then, you know, and then two heartbeats coming from one person, and he realizes it's Lois as she starts drifting off into space. And it says, stop beating. And that's when the bomb goes off, and that's when the whole Injustice series really gets its start. And I love this. And I love this because I love the game tie-ins, don't get me wrong, because they are amazing. But this comic from here till the end always has you on the edge of your seat. It always makes you wonder what the heck is going to happen next and who's going to die. There's so much death. Like, even with this right here, right in the beginning of the next one, we see Jesse Quick die. We see Garfield die. We see a lot of death. I mean, we see a lot of citizens. I'm talking superheroes, but and then, like, when Garfield dies, you know, Superboy is holding on to him and, like, trying to cradle him and trying to make sure he can protect him because he's not going to get hurt. And then he opens up his arms and it's just bird feathers. And it's so sad. Green bird feathers. It's so sad. But what I love specifically so much about this first one is we get to see the beginning of the relationship. You know, we get a little bit into the Lois and Superman, like just that little, you know, dad moment where he's freaking out. They're so happy that they found out she was pregnant, and this begins him going completely insane. And I wish I had 2 here. It's in my storage unit, but I wish I had 2 here because we get to see Superman, you know, punch a hole right through Joker. But this series, out of any that, you know, I have my favorites, this is definitely top 3. So, out of any that I could recommend, if you haven't read it, this is way worth the read because it's so good and it's so sad and it brings a lot of emotion and it makes you care for characters and not know from issue to issue if they're going to be there, like when Nightwing passes. The stupidest way possible, like he falls back. But anyway, like I was so like distraught, like, oh my god. Yeah, I'm like a baby. But anyway, that is all I have. I just wanted to share my favorite comic series rather. So I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.